Commission meeting to order at this time, December 6th, 3:30 p.m. Mr. Hopkins, if we can have roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Dominic,
Present.
Johnson, Jackson, Lynn, Bowman, Cawthorn, Gage Watts, Middleton, Atkins, Chavez, Smith, Lewis Johnson. Come on, sir.
If we all can stand, we'll have Pastor Calvin Austin will lead us in the invocation, and Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please, sir.
Yes, sir.
Shall we pray? Father, we come to this evening to discuss the business of this parish, and we ask that you be with these men and these women as they talk about the things that's beneficial for all of citizens. Be with us now in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
All military, active and retired, hand the brow, and all others, right hand over your heart. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Austin, Commissioner Johnson, for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation. Well, before we start, I did speak to Commissioner Lewis Johnson. He's on his way. He does have a commitment with the Rose Center in this district. It was a big event that he's at, and he will be here in a little bit. He has told me that Mr. Robinson, who's here, is going to speak in a few minutes. He wholeheartedly supports him for membership on the 911 district. So that'll come up a little bit later, but he did ask me to say that at the first of the meeting. So Commissioner Lewis Johnson should be here, and hopefully before we get done. But, you know, if I can move these meetings along, get us out of here, I'm going to do my best, okay? So we'll move on to our agenda additions. Todd, I have no agenda additions. Mr. Hopkins, do you have any?
No, sir, I do not.
No one's on the board, so we'll move to citizens' comment. Citizens who wish to address the commission on any issue other than zoning, please fill out a comment card located in the chamber foyer and forward it to myself or the clerk of the commission. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes. We have 2 comment cards right now, 3 coming up. Scott Sinclair is our first speaker. Oh, you're here on a zoning issue, correct? We're going to have a public hearing on that. So whenever we get to that point to have the public hearing, you can speak for or against however you feel on that nature, okay? Mr. John Robinson, you're up next, sir. You can come to the mic and state your name and tell us who you are and what you got going on. I know that you're up for an appointment, so.
My name is John Robinson. I live at 8397 Bell Oak Circle in Greenwood, Louisiana. And I'm up before the board for consideration by the commission for the open seat for the commissioned District 1 for communications. Also, I am a board member of the Chamber of Commerce of Greenwood. My wife and I have lived in Greenwood, have returned back to Greenwood for the past 12 years. We're very active in the town's business, and I feel that I'm more than qualified, and I would appreciate your vote of confidence for the appointment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Thank you for being here. That's going to be kind of later on the agenda when the vote happens. Mr. Austin, Calvin Austin.
Good afternoon. I am standing in regards to a opening on the MPC board, and I would like to first of all say that the board complies to look forward to 2030 of the master plan for Caddo Parish, and the responsibilities and the functions of the MPC is zoning and variance and other developments that relate to applications. I took an ethics examination from the state a few days ago, and one of the questions on the ethics test was, if someone came to you in regards to offering you tickets, et cetera, would that be a violation against the ethics violation? Well, I stand before you and say to you very adamantly that you could offer me the world. When it comes to Caddo Parish, I can't be bought. There's not enough money to what need to be in our city, in our parish, is that it should be about development. It should be about long-range planning and not short-term. And so if I am considered and given an opportunity, I'll do my due diligence to serve on the MPC.
Thank you, Mr. Dawson. Thank you for being here. Okay, so that concludes our citizens' comments. At this time, I have no other comments, cards. We'll move to our visitors squad.
We have no visitors. We move to special resolutions.
Okay.
A special resolution of recognition to Mr. Gary Kaligas, the Best of Times News.
If we all can stand and we can read the, Gary, Mr. Hopkins read the resolution. Gary, can you come up, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
In the name and by the authority of the Caddo Parish Commission, resolution of recognition to Mr. Gary Kaligas. Whereas the Caddo Parish Commission is always pleased to observe and enjoy the accomplishments of those Northwest Louisiana citizens who have gone forth to attain success and distinction in the various endeavors they pursue. And whereas Gary Kaligas and the Best of Time News have served Northwest Louisiana as the primary guide for those adults over 50 since its inception of senior scenes in 1993. And whereas the Best of Times offers a wide variety of articles, photographs, and features of interest to mature adults regarding federal and state legislative issues, social security concerns, fraud and abuse information, Medicare and Medicaid topics, nutrition information, and countless other topics of interest that help and protect those who have attained their celebrate age of maturity. Timeline, and whereas the Best of Times received 18 national awards in a wide variety of design, editorial, and website excellence categories at the 2018 North American Mature Publishers Association Convention held in Orlando in October. And whereas Gary Kaligas and the Best of Times plays an important part in the weaving of fabric that makes up the Shreveport, Caddo Parish, and Northwest Louisiana region. Now therefore be it resolved by the Caddo Parish Commission, meeting in legal and regular session the 6th day of December, that it does hereby declare and proclaim December 6, 2018 to be Gary Kaligas Day in Caddo Parish, Louisiana, in recognition and admiration of Gary Kaligas and the Best of Times News. Signed, Doug Dominic, Lynn Cawthorn, Mike Middleton.
Hip hip hooray!
Everybody can have a seat at
I
this
just
time.
want to say that I usually am near the radio on Saturday mornings, comes on at 9 o'clock, 9 to 10 on Keel, and 101.7 for the FM side. And Gary does a great job. He always has great guests. We just had Chris Giordano coming through here the other day. He had Chris for the state fair. He's always got timely information. And the last several times I've been on the deer stand listening to it through the earplugs. So it hasn't brought me a deer yet, but anything you can do, that helps. But Gary, congratulations. I appreciate you. And if you'd like to say a few words, you're welcome to do so.
Thank you. I'm distinctively honored to have your commission, Caddo Parish Commission, honor the Best of Times. We've been doing this for 18 years, almost 19 years, and our purpose is to educate, provide information to seniors and boomers throughout Caddo Parish, but also Bossier Parish and Webster Parish for the past 18 years, and giving them positive information and positive aspects about living in retirement. And we strive to do that. We emphasize the positive and never talk about the negatives. And we've been doing that via the radio show, via our magazine, via our website, and via our numerous senior health events that we've held for the benefit of seniors and boomers in the area. I'm deeply honored that y'all recognized us. We were recognized at a national convention of 106 publications throughout the United States and in Canada. And we were distinctly honored to receive that prestigious award in competition with some very, very prestigious and large senior publications throughout the United States and Canada. So Little Shreveport, Louisiana, and Bossier City as well as Webster Parish are on the map in this particular national organization. So again, I thank you for the distinct honor, and I appreciate that. I do want to add one little comment. My wife, Tina Kaligas, who I've been married for the past 44 years, is an integral part of the Best of Times. She has been involved with me in this publication for the past 18 years, and she's the lady and the individual, my wife and my lovely bride, that puts together this particular magazine for the past 18 years and all these particular issues. I'm the spokesperson. She doesn't like to come out. I told her to come out today, but she's not the spokesperson and not the radio show personality like I am. But again, my wife Tina is also highly should be honored, as well as myself. So again, thank you a lot. I do appreciate it.
Gary, appreciate all your hard work. I appreciate those great comments about
Yeah, everybody gets
maybe
one
you
up.
need to get the word out, stay more positive without the negative things, which that really moves us forward. So thank you for all your hard work, and keep up everything. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
At this time, Mr. Middleton makes the motion, is seconded by the chair, and that will be accepted by acclamation to adopt the resolution for Mr. Gary. Yeah. Motion made by Commissioner Middleton, second by the chair, acclamation. Okay. Todd, I'll turn it back over to you for your next item.
This time we need to adopt the regular session minutes from
Move to
November
adopt.
25th.
Have a motion by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson, second by Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts to adopt the regular session minutes of November 21 of 2018. Nobody's on the board, please vote.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
What we're voting on here?
Wait. I see what you're saying. That works.
Okay, that passes 9. Okay. Mr. Smith, did you mean to vote no on
Mr.
this?
Smith voted yes.
Okay, all right, I got you, because it's just the minutes. Todd, next item, Mr. Hopkins.
Okay, next we move to communiques and committee reports, administration response.
Dr. Wilson?
No, sir, I don't have anything today, sir. Merry Christmas to once.
Okay.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody, and hopefully you enjoy your family time while you're off next rest of the month.
Thank you. Anybody else got anything? Moving on to our next item.
President's report.
Just want to say a couple of things. A couple of weeks ago, went to am I saying this, Tales for Trails, is that right? Was held at the Walter B. Jacobs Park in conjunction with the Caddo Parish Animal Services and also the park. That was a wonderful event to see 2 of our agencies come together. My daughter was there. We were able to walk the dog, and it was set up basically. You had a chance to walk one of the dogs that was up for adoption, and of course we were trying to get some dogs adopted, but to give them exercises. In the Walter B. Jacobs Park, if you've never been there, if you're an outside person or you like to go to trails, I mean, it's the most beautiful place in the world. It's an extremely beautiful place to go in our area. And again, our Parks and Recreation, nothing costs, it's free. Only charge we have is when you stay overnight at the Earl Williamson Park. So I would encourage everybody to take an opportunity to visit our parks, especially the Walter B. Jacobs Park this time of the year. The leaves and the foliage is just beautiful out there. Wanted to thank Mr. Clark, Director, and all y'all's hard work, along with Andre, coming together on that event. First person I looked up and I saw was Commissioner Chavez was there with his wonderful fiance Megan, and
More like look down.
Yeah. But the problem was, I looked up and he had sourdough with him.
Cookie dough.
His dog. He brought his own dog, Cookie Dog. Cookie Dough. So, Commissioner Chavez, I thank you for coming out to my area, my district, and supporting everything that goes on too. So, thank y'all very much. The last thing I just want to say as we wind up the year, also just wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Please be safe. Thanks to all of the commissioners. Thanks for all the Caddo Parish Commission staff for working this year to make sure that we had another successful year, especially with the tax renewals on the park and recreation. I think that was one of the big things. It was obviously the biggest thing we had come up this year. So thank y'all for all y'all's help and work, and continue to try to be doing things that Mr. Gary Kaliga said, be positive, you know. For us to move forward in our parish, our city, our area, we've got to stay positive and get away from the negative attitude and negative talks. So that's all I had. Moving on to our next item.
Next, we move to public hearing on zoning ordinances and cases.
I'm still up there.
Zoning case appeal P
Hang on.
26.
Yeah, you can talk on when we get to communiques. We'd already passed the president's report, but
Okay,
so
yes, sir.
we'll talk when we get to the
Absolutely.
communications reports in a minute.
Whatever
okay?
you say, President, I respect you.
Thank you. Okay, Todd, go ahead. I'm
Zoning
sorry.
case appeal P 2618, property located between Railsback Ridge Road, Bayou Pierre, and Southeast Caddo Parish, Forbing Ranch, LLC, applicant and appellant. Request for approval to replat 56.5 acres of Railsback Ridge subdivision, Phase 3, into 6-lot subdivision.
Okay, I declare the public hearing on zoning ordinance case appeal P-26-18 open at this time. Is there anybody who wishes to speak in favor of this ordinance? You want to speak in favor of it?
I do, yes, sir.
Okay, can you give us your name, and then we'll turn it over to you at this time, okay?
Yes, sir. My name is Scott Sinclair. I'm an attorney in Shreveport and Bossier. I represent the applicant, Forbing Ranch. If you need my address, it's P.O. Box 1026, Shreveport 71163. Before you vote on this matter, there are a few things that I wanted to make sure that this commission was aware of. First of all, the MPC rejected the applications to preserve a corridor for the extension of 3132 from Flournoy Lucas on down to I-69. That project was commenced with a Stage 0 report that was issued in 2012. That Stage 0 report had a transportation component to it, a transportation study, and I want to share some things with you about that study because I doubt that you've heard them before. The transportation study looked at traffic volumes that might use this interstate if it was built versus, on the other side, who would use the existing route. And the existing route right now is to come off of I-3132 onto Flournoy Lucas, go to Flournoy Lucas to Highway 1, and Highway 1 down to the port. And so here's what that traffic study showed. And these were projections for the year 2032. The other thing you need to know about this is the approximate distance of the 3132 extension is about 6 miles. So in 2032, in the peak hour, rush hour, AM, there would be 3.2 cars per mile per lane. What that means is that if you took a drone and you were flying over the highway at the rush hour in 2032, you would find fewer than 20 cars using 6 miles going both ways of a 4-lane freeway. The same thing is true of rush hour in the evening. The peak PM numbers were 16.8 cars on a 6-mile stretch of 4-lane highway. And so what this tells you is that there's no traffic justification for this project. If you look at it a different way and say, well, will this divert traffic from the current pathway going from Flournoy Lucas Road to Highway 1 or not? And the answer is, if you build it, they won't come. Currently, if it existed in 2013, if the 3132 extension existed in that year, the projections were that 93% of the vehicles traveling in that direction would use the existing route. They would not use 3132. The same thing is true in 2032. 93% of the vehicles on the roadway going in that direction are still going to use Highway 1 and Flournoy Lucas, and they will not use 3132. The traffic report, is this available? The overhead?
No.
No. Yeah, that's fine. Here's what I wanted to do is just read to you the concluding statements from this traffic report. And it's talking about alternative B, and this is the alternative B route. It says that the volumes from the TDM, and that's the traffic demand module, exhibited a lack of demand throughout the entire proposed facility from LA 523 to I-69. And then it identified reasons for that. And it says there are greater travel times on this route than the existing route. It says there's a lack of major traffic generation if you build this. It says there's limited access along this facility if you build this, and so nobody's going to use it. That's the first thing that I really wanted you to know about this. The second thing that I want you to know about this, because I think most people don't, is that there is zero funding for this project through the year 2040. And nothing beyond that either, but that's as far out as anybody's done any planning. So if you take a look at the, at NLCOG has a long-range transportation plan, and it goes currently out to the year 2040. And it has various lists of things that are in the current program, things in the short-term program, things in the long-term program, and then it has a list of things that are called visionary or vision roadway projects because they are unfunded needs. And in that list, you'll find the extension of 3132. The original cost estimate for this extension in 2012 was $166 million. As of this report, it's $354 million. And if you look at this, it says the funding source is none. There's no source for funding this project through the year 2040. The same thing is true if you look at the state of Louisiana DOTD's long-range transportation plan. There is zero funding available for this project through the year 2040, which is as far as they plan. One of the thoughts is that, well, this is a mega project, and mega projects don't get into normal funding. They rely on special funding by the federal government and by the state. Well, here's the facts on that. Because the state does prioritize and they do rank the mega projects that are in the state. There are 113 mega projects for plan consideration based on this latest report in 2015. Priority A had 20 projects for a total of $4.8 billion. $3.7 billion of that would come from the state. Priority B has 19 mega projects for a total of $5.8 billion, and $3 billion of that would come from the state. Our project's not in priority A or priority B. It's in priority C. And priority C, there is zero funding available for this project, even under the most aggressive scenario for funding for the next 30 years under this long-range transportation plan. One of the thoughts that NLCOG has had about how do we do this? How do we solve this problem? And part of the thinking is that we'll split up into two pieces, and we'll have two smaller bites instead of one big $354 million bite. And so they have talked about doing it from Flournoy Lucas to Leonard Road, and then doing the final extension from Leonard Road on down to I-69. In the comments from the Federal Highway Administration related to this project, they've considered that phasing or that staging of this project. And here's what the Federal Highway Administration had to say back just in November of this year. It says, I do not see how this entire roadway functions without I-69. It says, without I-69, I'm having trouble understanding how this operates as an independent utility. My thought is without I-69, this roadway connects to nothing. So the point is this, that even if you stage this, let me say this differently. I-69 needs to exist before you start this project. So you need to put that funding and that project in front of this one in your thinking. Secondly, even if I-69 was there, what the Federal Highway Administration is telling you is that it doesn't make sense to do this in stages. It only makes sense to complete this if you can fund and do the whole project at once, because this is a highway to nowhere unless you connect it to I-69. The third thing that I wanted you to know is this. In this process, there's a thing called NEPA, and that's the National Environmental Policy Act. And the current stage that we're under is a thing called Stage 1, and that is the NEPA process. And what that means is you do an environmental assessment as to whether or not this project is viable or not. And there's a requirement that different alternatives be reviewed and analyzed in that process. And so part of the Stage 1 process, which is not complete, was to identify, well, there are 3 different build options and 1 no-build option. And a no-build option is always part of the plan as well. Until that process is complete, and it's not complete yet. Stage 1 is not over. There is no environmental assessment that's been approved. It is unlawful for the local body to acquire property in connection with the project. It's unlawful for the local body to appropriate or expropriate or take by inverse condemnation property associated with this project. And if you do that, you risk losing federal funding for this project. I'll give you a great example of that. Some of you probably remember it. Bossier City several years ago wanted to build an overpass over Benton Road. And before the NEPA process even started, they went out and bought a piece of property and said, this is going to be our route. If you take Forbing Ranch's property, you will violate NEPA and you will risk the loss of federal funding. So by approving the MPC process and the MPC decision, you will be taking the step of risking federal funding for this project and eliminating this project from ever occurring, because I'm quite certain that the state of Louisiana and Caddo Parish are not going to come up with the $354 million to do it. So those are the things that I wanted you to know. And I understand you have your considerations. And the law is not designed to put you in a difficult situation. It's designed to relieve that. It says you can't take actions like this. And so you don't have to struggle with this decision. The law's already made it for you, and it's real simple. It says you can't favor one pathway or another until this NEPA process is over. And so if you do this, you're going to jeopardize those things, and you may be the ones responsible for losing federal funding for this project. So that's what I wanted to share with you. And my message to you is this. On the one hand, you have the choice of continuing to pursue this project, which has very little prospect of ever getting built because it's not justified transportation-wise, and very little prospect of ever getting built because it costs too much money, and we've got way better things to do with the money than that. And your other choice is to recognize the overwhelming likelihood that this project will never get built, and allow owners to continue to use their property. And the risk that you run if you don't do that is losing federal funding and killing this project anyway. So we ask you to overrule the MPC and grant the application. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sinclair. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak in favor of this ordinance? Is there anybody who wishes to speak against this ordinance? Mr. Settle, how you doing today?
John Settle for Tealwood. I want to speak in favor of the commission upholding the MPC decision. So I guess I'm speaking against the ordinance. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
sir.
You're good.
Number one, I am a little bit familiar with this because I filed a lawsuit, I don't know, was it 10 years ago, when at that time Mayor Glover was thinking about donating a portion of property where 3132 ends. There's a triangle right across on the other side. And there was a lot of discussion between Glover and Mr. Larkin about the city donating public property to Mr. Larkin's plan to help his subdivision. And I filed a lawsuit, and subsequently that didn't happen. I think it's sad that that you're being put on the spot to say that your decision is going to cost federal funding. I think that's a joke, period. And I think you should ignore that argument. The NLCOG is the agency that is responsible for this. Seemingly, all these technical arguments should have been made to NLCOG, and we're in their process. The MPC has, I believe Mr. Clark said that, but he can speak for himself, followed the NLCOG recommendation. I would hope that you would do the same and uphold the MPC decision. In other words, do not grant the appeal. Quite frankly, when Mr. Larkin was in the process of buying this tract of property, he knew that 3132 was designed to go through that area. It was a well-known fact. That's why the city had reserved a triangular portion across there on Florida Lucas where it could go onto. So to say today that you're impeding my development and I can't develop the property I bought, you knew on the front end that risk. That's been known for a long time for planners. So if you buy property thinking you can get around this or maybe it won't happen, that's a risk you take. So crying today about lost economic opportunity, I don't see that. Mr. Larkin is a successful developer in Bossier, very bright business person. He knows business risk. He made a decision here when he bought the property, and it's been there ever since. If you followed it, there's been a lot of contentious litigation back and forth, a lot of things. Mr. Larkin thought that coming to Shreveport, he could get to do what he does in Bossier, because Bossier has a very go-do-it kind of attitude. I know because my office has been over there since '96. In Shreveport, we follow the rules. I hope you will uphold the MPC denial.
Thank you, Mr. Settle. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak against this ordinance? At this time, I declare the public hearing on ordinance zoning case appeal P-26-18 closed at this time. We'll move to our next item, Mr. Hopkins.
Next, we move to public hearing on ordinances. Ordinance number 5832 of 2018. Ordinance amending the budget investment revenues and expenditures for the Reserve Trust Fund for the year 2018 to provide an additional appropriation of $300,000 for the Reserve Trust Fund to assist tornado victims.
At this time, I declare the public hearing open on ordinance number 5832 of 2018. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak in favor of ordinance number 5832 of 2018? Is anybody here who wishes to speak against ordinance number 5832 of 2018? I see no one speaking in favor or against. The public hearing on ordinance number 5832 is closed. Moving to our next item.
Next, we move to zoning ordinances for final passage. Ordinance number 5825 of 2018 in regards to zoning case P-2818, amending the zoning of property located on the end of Singleton Road, 1,025 feet south of Pine Hill Road, Caddo Parish, from RMHP Residential Manufactured Home Park to R15 Single Family Residential District.
Move to adopt.
Have a motion by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson to adopt this, and seconded by the Commissioner.
I seconded it. I did.
Okay.
He did.
Don't y'all get into a fight over who seconded it.
I'm trying to help him out when we agree.
Okay. Commissioner Middleton has made the second on ordinance number 5825. Please vote. No one's on the board, please vote.
I'm saying, many times I've missed mine, huh?
You don't want to fight with anybody, or you?
No, sir. As
Okay.
many times I've been skipped, no, sir.
You got to speak up.
I know.
All right, that passes 10-0. Next item.
Okay, next we have ordinance number 5826.
Oh, he said it should be 11-0.
It should be 11-0, that's correct.
Who, someone didn't vote, or?
Well, it was 11-0, so everybody
Okay.
here.
Oh.
All right, next item.
5826 in regards to zoning case P 2918, amending the zoning of property located on the west side of Linwood Avenue, approximately 900 feet south of Florida Lucas, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, from R17 Single Family Residential District to R112 Single Family Residential District.
So moved.
Have a
Second.
motion by Commissioner Chavez, seconded by Commissioner Bowman. Get him on board. Okay. No one's on the board, please vote.
Mr. Johnson,
Who's?
Mr. Jackson.
Who's president?
You got him?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that passes 11-0. Next item.
Ordinance number 5827, amending zoning case P 3018, amending the zoning of property located at 58 Jefferson Page Road, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, from R1 Single Family Residential District to RE Residential Estate District.
So moved.
Okay, second, if
Second.
you're sure.
Yeah, motion.
Unless I'm looking for the representative, though.
Yeah, got a motion by the chair, seconded by Commissioner Chavez.
I know he motioned this last time to move it, so.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Commissioner Lyndon Johnson.
Mr. Clark, can you come and give us some clarification to what is a RE and a R17?
Yes, sir. Just to point out the fact that Commissioner Lewis Johnson and I and the MPC staff discussed this proposal, and he was in full support of it. And we, as you well know, and we had explained it at the when it was introduced before you, but the residential estate are large tracts of land, which this is along Jefferson Page Road. In this case, this property was to be used. It will be a special use permit that you won't see, but that will go before, that was approved by the MPC board pending the rezoning. But it would be for dog kennels and dog training and things of that nature. If I remember correctly, it's over 6 acres of land. Public hearing was held. No one came and spoke of any concerns. No one came and spoke in opposition. This gentleman and his wife have been operating different commercial type entities on this property along Jefferson Page Road for quite some time.
Thank you.
Commissioner Johnson, everything been answered?
Yes.
Okay. No one else is on the board. Please vote at this time. That passes 11-0. Next item.
Next, we move to zoning case appeal. P 2618, property located between Roseback Ridge Road and Bayou Pierre in southeast Caddo Parish, Forbing Ranch LLC, applicant and appellant.
I move to deny the appeal.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Atkins to deny the appeal, seconded by Commissioner Bowman. Just for clarification, I want everybody to understand, the request there's a request being made for approval to replant 50.65 acres into a 6-lot subdivision. The MPC have voted 5-0 to deny the application. The applicant, if I'm correct, it is Forbing Ranch, has made an appeal to us. So Mr. Atkins has made a motion to deny the appeal, which would uphold the MPC's decision. So the motion that we are considering is to uphold the MPC's decision and deny the application.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would comment on my motion if I may.
John, go ahead.
I hold Mr. Sinclair and his clients in very high regard, but I view our role here is to follow the lead of the NLCOG and the MPC. These issues, as pointed out by Mr. Settle and others, these issues have been at the forefront of the MPC and NLCOG for many years, and at this point we just need to follow their lead in my opinion. So I'll be voting no on this matter.
Okay, well, let's see, so your motion is to deny the application, so.
So that's a no, correct?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Wait, let's
So
make
you
sure.
It depends on the motion.
You made the motion.
Was to deny.
So you would vote yes.
Vote yes.
Oh, all right, so I'm sorry.
So
I
you
was-
made a motion to uphold the MPC and deny the application. So
Right.
a vote yes would deny their appeal. So you're wanting to vote yes.
All right, thank you for that clarification.
Am I
was
correct,
voting-
Donna?
That's correct, that's correct.
Yeah, it gets- All right, so I'll be voting yes on this matter.
And that's kind
On
of
my on my motion.
That's why I'm kind of bringing this up, because we can get confused, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes us elected officials are not
depends
the
on the motion.
smartest person in the world.
Depends on how you word the motion. That's what
What's
we
that?
meant.
Commissioner Johnson?
He said it depends on how you word the motion.
Right. So it's correct. So I'll be
Okay,
voting yes on my motion, of course.
And I'll
Ditto.
read it. Okay, Commissioner Jackson? Okay. You know, I kind of want to say the same thing. If you read the report and the recommendations of the NPC and the description and all the background concerning the NLCOG, I'm with you. I will be voting yes, basically to deny the application. Is anybody else on board? Mr. Jackson?
I do want to, Alan, could you come up for me?
One of these days he's gonna learn to sit up front.
So right here, cowboy fan, he used to moving around.
That's a catwalk, is that what you
Yeah,
said?
cowboy fan, he used to moving around.
Uh-oh.
Versatility.
Yeah, we
Bless
did.
his heart.
Just quietly easing up as a Cowboy fan.
Yeah, it's easy for you. So let me get this straight. Y'all had an applicant come before you seeking to do something, seeking a zoning change or
Seeking to do a subdivision
subdivision
of his property
of his property
for development.
for development. And the MPC agreed to deny it.
The MPC agreed to follow the directions that were submitted to them by NLCOG in their recommendations that this was the path for the extension of 3132. And NLCOG has been before this board, NLCOG has been before the MPC board, and NLCOG was before the MPC board on yesterday, and we're adopting the thoroughfare plan that will designate where these paths and where these highways will be going. And that will be an amendment to the master plan, and Mr. Lynn was there with us for a brief discussion. That will be an amendment to the master plan, which will be in accordance with the enabling legislation that gives the MPC the authority to have a street plan. So, yes.
My question was, the MPC denied the owner of the property. Is that correct?
The MPC denied the application for a subdivision of the property.
Okay.
And generally, any application that comes before the MPC has to be signed by the owner of the property.
Oh, okay, so what happens then because if I vaguely remember, there were some issues where in district court, the court said that if they sort of have a right to do with their property what they want to do. So I'm kind of I'm confused as to which direction we're
All I
going.
can share with you, there's pending litigation that is going on presently in district court concerning one of the applications that came before the MPC and was denied by the MPC, and the city council, in this case, upheld that decision, and the same client, the same applicant is suing the city council.
So
And
what
I don't
I'm
know all
asking,
the details of that because it is still pending.
so what I'm asking though is, haven't there been cases where property owners have come, asked to do something with their property, they were either shot down at the MPC or the city council or the commission, they go to district court, and district court or the Second Circuit Court has overturned that? Or is this something different? That's what I'm trying to get
I'm
to.
not aware of those situations in detail. Generally, district court has upheld the authority of the MPC as a planning arm and the parish commission and the city council as legislative branches. There may be some cases where the city and the parish may have lost, but generally.
So this, the Dan Wembley's property was not an instance where
That
Dan
was in
Wembley.
the city,
Oh,
if
right.
I'm not mistaken.
Right, and I think that he was denied a zoning change or denied a permit.
I think that was totally different because.
Oh, that's what I'm trying to-
what
and
you're
that's what I'm
talking about-
asking.
What you're talking about now is a major thoroughfare, a major highway that has been researched and recommended by the NLCOG that this is the preferred pathway for that highway.
But what I'm asking is, I'm talking about
This
the
had
property
nothing to
owner.
do with the Dan Wembley situation. Was property that was zoned for single-family dwellings, that the application was for multifamily.
That's what I'm,
And it was
that's what
denied.
I'm asking. So this is not the same type of zoning situation that we have here.
I don't know how to say it any differently, Commissioner. This is totally different from what happened with the Wembley case. This is, you're being told that the preferred path for the highway, 3132 extension, is going directly through where this application is proposed to be developed. And they're saying that the MPC said if NLCOG is going through that process, it is just the proper thing to do to listen to the entity and the agency that does the highway planning and transportation planning for Caddo Parish. In that case, this was just property that he wanted to rezone, and he wanted to rezone it differently from what the MPC felt was appropriate, and that was denied and appealed, and later in district court, it was overturned.
Okay.
They say I get too wordy. I'm trying to.
No,
be real short.
I think, what I had a specific question that I was trying to get to, and you said it was overturned in district court.
Right.
That's what I was asking. Thank you.
More?
That's it for me.
You done, Commissioner Johnson?
Yes, I'm done. Thank you.
Yes,
Mr.
if
President.
I'm correct, Donna, help me out here, but any of our decisions, whether any of our zoning decisions, appeal decisions, they have a right to file a lawsuit in district court.
That's correct.
And if they don't like the district court's decision, they have a right to file to the Second Circuit Court of Appeal. So we're getting back to our motion, the motion that was made by Commissioner John Atkins, and I can't remember exactly who seconded it. I think Commissioner Bowman seconded that motion. And I just want to get it straight, okay? Again, the motion was to deny the application. So if you vote yes, the application will be denied, and you will be actually upholding the MPC's decision, okay? Please vote at this time. That passes 9-2, okay? And we'll move on to our next item.
Next, we move to ordinances for final passage. Ordinance number 5828 of 18. An ordinance to authorize the purchase of property located at 2858 Lakeview Road, Caddo Parish, Louisiana.
Move to adopt.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson, seconded by Vice President Lynn Cawthorn to adopt ordinance number 5828. Please vote. That passes 11-0. Next item.
Ordinance number 5829, authorize the parish administrator to grant on behalf of the parish of Caddo a permanent utility servitude on property located in section 7, township 16 north, range 15 west, Caddo Parish, Louisiana.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion is made by Commissioner Jim Smith, seconded by Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts to adopt ordinance number 5829 of 2018. No one's on the board. Please vote to adopt this ordinance at this time. That passes 11-0. Next item.
Ordinance number 5830, to close and abandon a portion of Brooks Road located in section 27, township 17 north, range 15 west in Caddo Parish.
It's moved by the chair.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Lynn Cawthorn. Who's been working with this in Public Works? Robert or Jimmy, can you come up, sir? This is obviously in Commissioner Lewis Johnson's district. My first question, is he aware of this, and is he supporting this abandonment?
Yes, sir.
And all of the surrounding property owners have been notified, We took the normal steps and procedures that we normally do to notify everybody.
Yes,
and
sir.
everybody sign off. This is not affecting anybody if it's a closed,
And
no
it
bus
was-
route or anything's gonna be closed. It's just out in the rural area.
Oh, yes, there's no road constructed there, and it's within the MPC, and we took it before the MPC prior to bringing it to y'all, and it passed unanimously there.
Okay, so there is no road. It was just a dedication, but no road, correct?
No road.
Commissioner Jackson?
Yeah, I was gonna make a substitute motion to englobo and adopt ordinance number 5830, 5831, and 5832. If I can get a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to englobo ordinance number 5828, excuse me,
Englobo and adopt.
Globo and adopt, where were we starting at?
5830, 31, 32.
58,
Mr. President,
Yeah.
I'd have a,
yeah, I got you, we'll get you. Where are we starting at? What ordinance are we on right now?
5830.
Okay, 5830, 5831, and 5832. That motion has been made by Commissioner Jackson, and it was seconded by who? Commissioner Lynn. I have some people on the board. Okay, Commissioner Jackson, you want to speak on your motion?
Oh, no, I didn't. I mean, if folks got questions, I just was trying to move us along.
yeah,
Yeah, you're gonna have some issues. Okay, Commissioner Linda B. Johnson?
I wanted to ask that we can do 5832 separately.
Okay, so I have a motion.
I want to do an amendment to it.
I have a motion by Commissioner Linda B. Johnson and seconded by the chair to remove ordinance number 5832 from the englobo.
I mean, I move it. That's fine.
Okay, so let's, we have a,
So it's just 5830 and 5831.
Okay, so-
Okay, you got it.
Todd, what we're gonna do is englobo 5830 and 5831, okay? Jimmy, can you come up here real quick? Tell me about 5831. That's the one we talked about to streamline the issues concerning the process of the selling of the adjudicated property, correct? This is something that
Yes, sir.
that y'all recommended, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Atkins, do you have any questions right now, or?
I originally requested to speak to ask to change the englobo, which Commissioner Jackson was kind enough to do, so I'm good on that issue.
Yeah. Okay, so please vote to englobo ordinance number 5830, 5830. Commissioner Jackson, do you want to speak? 5830 and 5831. Please vote. That passes 11-0. Moving to our next item.
Ordinance number 5832 of 2018, an ordinance amending the budget of estimate revenues, expenditures for the Reserve Trust Fund for the year 2018, providing additional appropriation of $300,000 from the Reserve Trust Fund.
So move to adopt.
Have a motion by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson to adopt ordinance number 5832 of 2018. Commissioner Jackson, do you wish to speak on the motion?
No, I just moving us along.
Okay. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson, do you have a?
Yeah, I want to add an amendment to that particular motion, and that is that the 300,000 will be limited to the 15 homes that are already in the cycle, and not any new properties to be added to that.
Second.
So your amendment is to the
Right.
$300,000 be limited to the 15 homes that are in the cycle.
Right, so right now, the reason that I brought this before the body is that there are 15 homes that have started the cycle, that Red Cross is giving them a certificate, they have a contractor, but they ran out of money. And so this 300,000 will make those 15 homes good.
Okay. That motion amendment was made by Lyndon B. Johnson, seconded by who?
Bowman.
Commissioner Bowman. Commissioner Bowman, you want to speak?
No, he pretty much said it. That was a classic example because they have a lady even on the next block. Like he said, there's a lot of people, they were approved, it was started, and now as a result of the money, although they were approved, she still has a hole in her ceiling and something wrong with the floor because, it ran out of money. So if we could just do this is still a continuation of, we just didn't have enough to budget for, but just let's do this and Be kind to our citizens. One last time, that's all. Thank you. I know you say happy Thanksgiving and Christmas, but I need you again for St. Patrick's.
Commissioner Atkins?
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, I'd like to be kind on this. I want to be supportive of our citizens, but I feel like we've already come back to the well once on this issue, and this is the second time to add to it, the third kind of allocation. So I'm just kind of feeling like we've done what we should do here, and I'm going to respectfully have to vote no on this.
Yeah, I'm gonna, I hope John and I are not the little green man called the Grinch, but
Okay,
where
back then.
are we going with this? It just continues to go and go and go, and every time we just can't be the insurance company and fix everything for everybody, and I feel sorry.
I know.
And don't take this wrong.
No, I don't.
But that's kind of where I'm at. I don't want to say too much more. It's just,
I get it.
just where I'm at.
We got somebody else if I can rebuttal.
Yeah, hang on. Commissioner Linda B. Johnson.
I think Matthew should talk before me, his first time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Curious,
Okay.
is there, and I don't know who in this room I'm asking this question to, the city of Shreveport has so much adjudicated property, and a lot of the adjudicated property is in fairly good condition. Is there a scenario where we could look at a person's property, and if their roof is crashed in and their floor is caved in and the piers have been removed and the house is close to total, that we could say, okay, here's 5 or 10 adjudicated properties, that it would be easier and cheaper for the parish or the city to just buy these adjudicated properties and move you here instead of spending twice as much as your home may be worth on the market to rebuild it. I guess that would be a legal question. And I realize that nobody wants to be moved out of their home, but if the home is close to totaled, that it seemed like it could possibly be, the best of both scenarios, where instead of 8 people getting their homes repaired for a total cost of $1 million, you have 15 people that get new homes, and then the city has less adjudicated property. Is that?
Commissioner, there would probably be some prohibitions against donating that property to private persons if it's not for economic development or some other purpose that is allowable under the Constitution. I would like to point out, though, in situations where there is a total house, what is given is actually rental assistance in the situation you described, which is actually the least amount of aid that could be given. So for those houses, you actually do not have them doing the work. And also, it's my understanding that the $300,000 is the worst case scenario, say if every house needed the maximum amount that was allowable under the cooperative endeavor agreement, but that there are going to be some houses that don't need that, so that the $300,000 may not be totally consumed by those 15 homes.
And so could you explain the difference between a damaged home that needs $30,000 in repair work versus giving a person an adjudicated property that we could purchase for less than 10?
If you have the purchase of the adjudicated property, there are some constitutional considerations as to whether you can donate it to a private person. And under most scenarios, that is just prohibited. It's not a matter of economics, it's a matter of whether or not you can legally do it.
And so you can legally give them twice as much to repair their home than you can give them half as much with a new home?
If they meet a certain income requirement, you can.
Thank you.
Commissioner, let's see, Chavez, you haven't spoken on this issue.
Thank you, Chair. And just for clarification, it's not that we're doing the full 300, split between 15 houses. It's that these last 15, there was no money left over for them, but they had put in the application process, and that we're just reallocating them to help these last 15. This isn't going to be that other people know that we've allocated 300 and, hey, let's fill out an application. We're just helping the initial people, right?
Right.
Okay, that's it. That's all I need to know, President.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts, you're on the board.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have a question. We are not allocating any funds for houses that are total losses. Am I correct? That's correct. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson, you're back on the board.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to try to clarify some things. The maximum amount of money that one home could get is $21,300. Of that amount, $1,250 is for tree removal. Of that amount, $2,810 is for electrical work. So you only got $17,170 that could be utilized for home repairs. So it's not like if the house needs $60,000 worth of damage, it has $60,000 worth of damage. We're not funding that whole thing. Basically what we're trying to do is trying to get them back to a point in which they can get back to some normalcy of life. We sit here and we talk about moving Caddo forward, we talk about progression, we talk about all this. But when you leave these houses in that Queensboro area like they are right now, with no funding mechanism, then you end up having blight in the neighborhood. So now you're gonna have houses that are non-livable, houses that are livable. If the first ordinance, if we knew that they was gonna have that much damage, then we would have asked for that much money in the initial.
Right.
But to see the magnitude of the homes that have been done, we kind of did it in pieces. So why ask for $1 million off the bat when we could do so much, 200-some thousand this time, 200-some thousand that time? See how we got it. These are the last 15 houses that were through the process. They got the certificate, they got contractors, but when they went back into CCAA told them we had no more money. So they did all their work on the front end to try to get in and get part of this. And so now we're to the point of this is how we seal it off. This last 15,
That's it.
it might not take all that because by now the trees should have been removed. So that piece goes away. By now, they might even have electricians to come in and do some electrical work on their own. So that piece could be removed. So we're looking at up to $300,000 for the 15 homes. It might not even be that much. But we wanted to have a safe number, roundabout number to utilize for the 15 homes to utilize.
Commissioner Vice President Cawthorn?
Yes, just as a point of clarification, we are actually doing this as a result of there not being a declaration of disaster in that particular area, which would have kicked in FEMA funds.
Right, they did not
and so
qualify.
we're an augmentation of not having the FEMA funds. And so obviously the people who are qualified for this application, none of them had any form of homeowners insurance in any shape, form, or fashion, or they didn't have insurance that covered perils and disasters.
Possible.
That's correct.
Okay.
And they had to qualify too.
When you say qualify
Financially. I mean,
okay.
they made a certain dollar amount, then they wouldn't qualify.
All right, so, and my whole point is that there was no other vineyard or mechanism for them to be able to go back and repair their homes, and that's why that's just the basis of this assistance.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Jackson, you haven't spoken on this yet.
No, I haven't, and I just want to encourage us, administration. I had a conversation with Origins Bank this week about some programs over at Federal Home Loan Bank of Dallas, and they have a disaster program over at Federal Home Loan Bank that could also kick in. So in future references, or if we have to come back and do this again, that we would encourage them to reach out to their partners at the Federal Home Loan Bank, because homes can qualify up to $30,000. So I'd hope we would move this forward, provide that final assistance. Because I got a text message from a guy today who says he lives on Madison and he needs a gate fixed because a tree fell on his home and the gate is not working. And so there are folks that are still out there that need some type of assistance, some form of assistance. But Hopefully, now that we've changed over to work with Origins, a more community-oriented bank, that next time we go out for this, that they would reach out, because those dollars are there, and I think it's just a simple ask for us to ask them to make the ask. And so, this says this covers homes located in the 5-state area of Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, New Mexico, Texas. And so they have to have been under that disaster declaration as well. And I think all you need is the local disaster declaration to qualify for it. So let's make sure we bring in our private partners the next time around. Appreciate it. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you.
Commissioner Bowman?
All right, well, I guess Commissioner Jackson and Commissioner Lyndon Johnson really just did a great job of covering what I was saying, and for the clarity of, it's not that we're trying to get additional money for new people or anything of that nature. It's just the fact that, like I was explaining, if my last name is Z, and I came and signed up and was approved by Red Cross and Caddo Parish, our Homeland Security Office, and Caddo Parish was so nice enough that although I qualified, that you helped A through N, but you never made it down to Z, but you said you would come to help us, and so now Z never got help or never got the door fixed or still has, had the hole from the tree that they never got removed that we said we were going to do. So that's where this pretty much ends. And like you said, we probably don't even have to use all of it. It's just that had we known then that we didn't get down to Z, we wouldn't have asked then for this. So that's all it is. It's nothing more, not trying no new people or anything like that. It's just that just trying to do it. So all those who can in favor and who want to help continue what we said we were going to do, let us finish what we said and promised and that they were approved for. That's all.
Okay, so if I'm correct, Mr. Hopkins, let me get this straight. So the last thing, Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson made a motion to amend this ordinance to state that it only applied to the 15 homes that were in the cycle, and that was seconded by Bowman. So first of all, we'll vote on that amendment. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then we'll come back and vote on the ordinance, which will actually fund it, correct?
Funded as if the
As
amendment.
amended.
Right.
Okay. So the first thing will be voting for Lyndon B. Johnson's amendment to the ordinance that would state that it's limited to the 15 homes that have made application in the area.
Point of clarification,
Sure.
sir. If I vote in support of that amendment, that doesn't vote, that's not a vote for the funding, that's just a vote for the change in language, correct?
That is correct.
Just want to make sure.
Correct, Donna?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay,
So
thank
you could vote for that and then turn around and vote however you wanted to on the final vote.
I'm with you, thank you.
Thank you, then I say vote no.
So please vote. Okay, that passes 11-0. Now we need a motion by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson. Is that okay?
Second.
To move as
Second by
adopted.
Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts to approve ordinance number 5832 as amended, which will include $300,000. So now we're voting on the funding, okay?
Well,
As amended.
it's three,
As
as
amended.
amended.
As amended, that's right. That's right, as amended. Please vote.
In the name of Jesus, let's do it. And it passes. God wins.
That fails.
It passes.
We passed. Don't do that.
7-4.
No, it takes eight to come out of reserve.
We
trust
failed.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Remember, our ordinance says eight to come out of reserve trust fund.
It'll come out of reserve?
That's true.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Just hang on, let everybody count it. So Donna, just for point of clarification, this is the amendment to remove funds from reserve trust fund. It does take 8 votes, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so moving on to our next item.
Next, we move ordinances by, introduction by title. Ordinance number 5834, 2018, amending the 2018 budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the Riverboat Fund to reduce appropriation for riverboat revenue by $100,000. Ordinance number 5838, 2018, to enact section 32-3 46.1 of the Code of Ordinances relative to parish buildings and grounds to generally regulate activity and to prohibit certain acts on or about parish buildings. Now we need to ratify the minutes for Monday.
Second.
It's moved by Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts, seconded by Commissioner Lynn Cawthorn to ratify the work session minutes of December 3rd, 2018. Please vote. That passes 11-0. Next item.
Next, we move to resolutions. Resolution number 83 of 2018, giving written public notice of the regularly scheduled meetings of the Caddo Parish Commission for the calendar year 2019.
Move to approve.
Moved by
Second.
Commissioner Lynn, second by Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts. Please vote. That passes 11-0. Next item.
Resolution 84, 2018, approving the holding of an election in Caddo Parish Fire District Number 4, St. Louisiana, on Saturday, May 4th, 2019, to authorize the incurring of debt and issuance of bonds and the levy of a special tax therein.
That's moved by Commissioner Jim Smith. Is that your view?
Second.
Okay. That's moved by Commissioner Jim Smith.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Bowman.
Bowman.
I heard you over there. Please vote.
Keep pressing, Storm. Push through, baby.
Jackson. Mr. Johnson.
I voted.
That passes
Yes,
11-0.
the other
Next
Johnson,
item.
they didn't vote.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I don't have my glasses on today.
All right, look for LB. Not
That
this
passes.
big.
Next item.
Yes, sir. Resolution
B.
number 85, 2018, providing for the canvassing returns and declaring the
Moved
results
by
of
Commissioner
special
Stormy
election.
Gage Watts, seconded by Commissioner Chavez. Please vote.
Chavez.
Thanks for pronouncing it right, Willie.
See. De nada.
Sorry we didn't get you out quicker. That passes 11-0. Next item.
Resolution number 86, request legislature to
Move
pass
to adopt.
legislation.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson, seconded by Commissioner Middleton. Please vote.
Chavez.
Is it Chavez?
Chavez.
Is it?
It's there.
It's like
It's Chavez.
Yes.
You never pronounced it. You never know. Does everybody say it? Same thing I said.
We're in the South.
11-0.
That's how it counts.
All right, next item.
We have no old business, move to new business. Confirmation of appointment to the Metropolitan Planning Commission, appoint one candidate to the MPC to fill the unexpired term of Mr. Alan Young, who has resigned effective December 7th. We have two names before us, Mr. Mauricio Rocco and Mr. Pastor Calvin Austin.
Okay, hang on. So what we'll do is, we'll vote on each one of these separately, or do we need to have a motion or anything? Normally we vote on them, vote for Mr. Roca.
That both these names were approved to be on this agenda,
Okay,
so.
so we'll first vote on Mr. Roca. If you're in favor of Mr. Roca, then vote yes. Don't vote no, just vote yes. And then if you're in favor for Pastor Calvin Austin, you'll vote yes for him. Is that correct? And how many, we got 11 here today?
Yes, sir.
So whoever gets 6 will be appointed. Okay, so Mr.
So there'll be two, just to be clear, there'll be two votes, right?
There'll be 2
Maybe.
votes.
Maybe.
Well, if
Maybe.
Mr. Roca gets 6 or more, there's
Right.
no
Yeah.
need to vote
Sure.
for the second. Todd, am I doing this correctly?
You're correct.
All right, so the first name on the board is Mr. Roca. That was by Commissioner Chavez. Is that better?
That's great.
Okay. All right. If you're for Mr. Roca, please vote for him. I guess somebody wishes to speak, or, if we want to talk. Commissioner Chavez?
I can speak really quick. Mr. Roca's here, and he's actually, this is probably the 3rd or 4th meeting I've seen him here. And I did ask him if he wanted to come before the commission to speak, and he actually said, no, he's just here to work, which I like, and obviously you guys heard the other guys that came up and spoke on Monday. But I do commend Pastor Calvin Austin for throwing his name in the hat as well. And I thank you for your willingness to serve, and both you gentlemen for willing to serve Caddo Parish. Thank you, guys. That's all.
Is anybody else wish to speak? I mean, I can't, I called for the vote too early, I guess. So if you wish to speak, raise your hand. I did want to say one thing. I'm going to be voting for Mr. Roca, and it's nothing against Pastor Austin. I just had spoken to Commissioner Chavez and had made a commitment early on, and I think both of these candidates, either one, will do a great job. I really do. So if you're for Mr. Roca, am I saying that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please vote now.
Vote for which one?
Roca.
Roca.
Yes.
Okay. We ready? We voting? I'm always late, huh? But I'm on time.
Okay, he gets 9 votes, so he will be the on the MPC. So thank y'all for both of y'all willingness to serve. Pastor Austin, we'll be calling you and put you on something, okay? We'll work you somewhere, okay?
Very soon.
Thank you for saying our prayer today, too. You did a great job.
Pray for us sinners.
Prayer work.
Prayer works.
Hey, next time pray that you don't have to sit there so long. You know?
I hang around yourself.
Oh, no, I don't know if I'd go there.
Next we move to confirmation of end of year appointments.
Okay, we have these appointments. I don't know if we need to englobo, if anybody has any additions or changes or anything.
We have a couple that are new, like the open seat for the communications district,
Okay.
with the death of Mr. Williamson.
Okay, can I just, we just gotta go through one?
You
Okay.
can do however you
All
like,
right,
sir.
I'd represent Fire District 1. I'm good with that. Is everybody good with Fire District 3? Susan Tuberville, if anybody has an issue, let me know. Fire District 4, has anybody got an issue there? Fire District 5, anybody got an issue there?
We're good with it.
Is everybody good? Am I going too fast?
I'm good with
Fire
that.
District 6, everybody good? Fire District 7, Fire District 8's me. Sewer District 2 and 7. Water Works District 7, North Shreveport Industrial Park. And then we get into the zoning appeals board. So why don't I'll make a motion that we approve Fire District 1, Fire District 3, Fire District 4, Fire District 5, 6, 7, 8, Sewer District 2, Sewer District 7, Water District number 7, and North Shreveport Industrial Park appointments that are written. Do I have a second?
I'm second.
Can you delay sewage district number 7 for now?
I can.
And sewer district number 5.
Okay. And I need to englobo or delay Sewer District 5?
Right.
Okay. So out of those, I'm taking out Sewer District 7 and Sewer District 5. It does not include Zoning Board of Appeals, Animal Service Board, or Communication District. We'll do them one by one.
All right, I'll second.
Is everybody on board with what I'm doing?
Yes.
Has anybody got any questions? Are Linda, you on the board to talk about this motion or not?
My motion was to amend the sewer district 5 and 7.
They're out of there.
Yeah, he took
Okay.
out the motion.
Please vote. Okay, that passes 10 to 1. Mr. Bowman, you want to vote no? Okay. All right, so now we're going to the Zoning Board of Appeals. We'll take this one at a time. Open seat, Ronnie Bergeron resigned. Robert Balcom is the name that's being presented. Commissioner Lynn, do you have a motion on that?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Lynn. Seconded by Commissioner Atkins to approve the Zoning Board of Appeals appointment, Robert Balcom. Am I saying it right?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody want to speak on that one?
Yeah, I've been on the board.
Well, holler. Jackson?
Yeah,
Commissioner Jackson?
so let me see, make sure I'm reading this right. So the name below where it says open seat is the person that's being recommended?
Yeah,
to
Ronnie
replace?
Bergeron resigned, and Commissioner Lynn has requested that Robert Balcom be appointed to fill that term, I guess.
And his resume was sent to everyone.
Yeah, it's attached also.
Well, I'm just curious if we fill in appointments. I don't know, got Pastor Austin here. I don't know if it's somewhere we can slide him
Put him
into
in.
one of these. I don't know.
That's a good idea. I can see that.
I mean, but was just an observation. But
We can look for another opportunity for Pastor Austin.
Yeah.
I don't.
Pastor Austin, we will get you.
Okay, please vote for
I just
Ronnie,
making sure I was reading it.
excuse me, Robert Balcom for the Zoning Board of Appeals. Please vote.
So these are the replacements.
On this one, okay, well, I'm kind of, we made it in Globo on a bunch of them, we're just kind of going down through the next ones. Okay,
I'm a yes vote.
that passes 11-0 and.
12.
Excuse me,
I'm a
12-0.
yes.
The next one is the Animal Service Board, to have a motion to appoint Karen Buckley Smith.
Does her term expire?
She'll be reappointed, correct?
Oh, does she want to
This one will be a reappointment here, yes.
Okay.
Yes, it'll be a reappointment. So the chair makes a motion to reappoint Karen Buckley Smith.
Second.
It's seconded by Mr. Chavez. Please vote.
Man, you own it.
And that passes 11-1. And now we're moving to our Communication District Number 1. I'm going to yield to Commissioner Lewis Johnson. Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
Oh, look at him.
He made
I told everybody earlier that you had a prior commitment, and I also told them that you were highly recommending John Wesley Robinson. If you would have told me that he was married to Josephine, I would have known who you were talking about.
Yes, sir.
And I came in here and we got to talking, I realized who he was.
Yes, sir.
I told him I would be supporting his your appointment wholeheartedly too. So I will ask that you make a motion to appoint John Wesley Robinson to the Communication District Number 1. That's been seconded by the chair. Do you need to say anything?
I do make a motion that we would appoint for the
Okay, and that's been seconded by the chair.
Thank you.
So we'll please vote. Mr. Robinson, be sure and tell your wife I said hello.
I didn't see Mr. Robinson.
He spoke earlier during the public comments. Yeah. Do you want to say something?
Yes, I just wanted to thank my fellow commissioners for your support and to let you know that it's my honor to appoint or to nominate Mr. Robinson. He really has a servant attitude. He's very active in his community in Greenwood, and he serves well there, and I'm certain that he would do the same here. So it's my honor to do that, and thank you, each of you, for your support.
I got to know him a couple years ago when I was running, and man, I tell you what, him and his wife both, they are just
Absolutely,
servants
sir.
to the community. They do a great job on everything they do, and you know, it's a pleasure to know you guys, and hope to look forward to you given the ability to serve on the communication district. I think you'll do a great job.
She outserved me by far.
She was at the meeting I just left.
Husband up.
I got you. Okay, so those fills up our appointments. Let's see, we're down to communiques and committee reports, if I'm correct. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson, are you on the board?
Yes, I am.
Okay, go ahead, buddy.
Thank you, sir. Today was a very disappointing day for me and quite a few citizens in the Queensboro area. When we initially started this disaster fund, it was started with a funding balance of $750,000. And today, that number would have probably gotten us up to $800,000 if we would have passed this extra $300,000. So basically, you know, from the initial funding, we would have been about $50,000 over the initial funding when this fund was first developed in 2015. People cannot determine what happens to them in life, and sometimes they cannot get over the hump when something of a natural disaster happens. FEMA was not going to be able to come in because the dollar amount was not there. The city of Shreveport did the limited amount of work that they was going to do, which was to remove some trees and get the roads way back open. And so now we left with citizens that basically are taxed by the parish with homes which still have holes in the roof, the money that we supplying them was not gonna make their homes whole again, but was basically was give them the basic necessities to get their house going back in the right direction. When nobody steps up to the plate, what are they to do? We talk about crime in the city of Shreveport and Caddo Parish. This is one reason why we have crime. It's because they can't get assistance when they need it. So now you have 15 households that can't get any assistance from any type of local government, state government, or federal government. So, and what are they to do? And we always talk about crime prevention and all this. Sometimes if you do a helping hand, it helps those to not get to that state of life. But we don't always see it that way. We see it as, well, we gave them 2 chances already to get in and get things done. But this tornado was very more costly than the floods of 2015-16, the tornado that happened in Blanchard, and also the flooding that went along Well Island Road. So this is different. And each natural disaster is always going to be different. And it might hit some neighborhoods in which my neighborhood flooded in 2016. Nobody in my neighborhood qualified for any of this funding. Couldn't get none of it because we all made too much money. So nobody looked for it. But for the ones in our parish that cannot provide that, they on very fixed income, we're talking about low to moderate incomes. And based on how many people you have in a household, that also is impacted in about the number. So we really should understand the program and how the program works, and not just sit here and say, well, we gave too much money for that. I'm quite sure a lot of them didn't know that the cap was $21,300. I guarantee you nobody around here knew that. But that was the cap. And that's only if the house is moderately damaged. Because if it's destroyed, you don't get any money. None at all. And then if you're a renter, you don't get the money anyway. It goes to the property owner. And if the property owner doesn't want to fix it, guess what? It doesn't qualify and you have to move on to somewhere else. So, Queensboro will have some areas that's going to be blighted, and we just have to deal with that. Thank you.
Commissioner Bowman?
Yes, sir. And I just want to say, really, Commissioner Johnson pretty much said it, and I just want to apologize to those and the people who actually saw and haven't seen, who y'all just don't know really were depending on that. I want to apologize to 3500 block through the 3400 block of Frederick. I want to apologize to my neighbors on the next street over from me, who I saw when the storm and everything hit. She almost had a heart attack and had to be rushed to the hospital, who's 84 years old now, who still have that hole in their roof. I want to apologize to you that we couldn't do this to you, and we said that we would. It's like, it's not property. Every piece of property that was going to be, that this was going to a family or going to someone. And it's just like I heard someone say, oh, crime is down 14%. Well, tell that to the victims, the mothers of the victims who, that the crime is down, but their child is still dead. It still has an impact. It still has impacted them. It still hurts, and they still have a void. And those people, those 15 homes, they still have a void. And like he said, Queensboro has something, and it's blighted. And I know what that feels like. I live there. I have to pass through there. And it's a part of Shreveport, too, and I'm sorry. I do apologize, y'all, that we couldn't do more, and we couldn't do not so much more. It's not even asking more. I apologize that we, the commission, did not do what we said and promised you that we were going to do. When everyone else failed, we were your last hope. We started off something we didn't finish. That's what happened. And I apologize, and I'm so sorry. Have a good night.
Commissioner Atkins?
Thank you, Mr. President. I feel as if those of us who voted against this third round of funding are being reprimanded. I'd like to focus on the fact that when we were asked to support the first time, we voted yes, support. When we were asked to vote to support the second time, we voted yes, support. This is the third time we've been asked to support. At some point, we all reach our limit. It's not our money we're looking after here, it's the taxpayers' money. We're not being selfish with our money, we're being prudent and frugal with, or not even frugal, we're being prudent with taxpayers' money. So, you know, instead of focusing on the fact that we didn't approve this third round of funding, I'd prefer to focus on the fact that we did approve 2 rounds of funding to try to help these citizens. So, you know, there's 2 sides to this coin, and we have supported them at over $500,000, but yet we're being reprimanded for not supporting another $300,000. So we have to keep our perspective. Thank you.
Okay, we're still on communiques committee report. So Commissioner Jackson?
Yes, I have a couple, and I'd probably, administration or legal really. Could we get an update, and you could, if you want to, you can send it via email, because I know this is our last meeting for the year, right?
Yes.
So if you could send it via email, where are we on the AG letter about the Waterway Commission? Or do you have one now?
It has been sent. We have not heard anything on it. You all should have had copies in your box, I believe, when it was sent. So I'll resend the copy.
Okay, because I know we have a legislative session coming up, and I don't think this is a fiscal year. I don't think it's a fiscal year, so we can tackle more issues. But if we need to start talking to our delegation about the upcoming legislative session. Also, if sometime in the first meeting or second meeting in 2019, if we could get a 211 update on where we are. I think it was a great program. We funded it. And I'm always referring folks to 211. I see some billboards. I just want to see what our usage rate is.
We did get one a few weeks ago. We haven't come back.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, they came in.
Okay. Did they give anything?
United Way passed out some literature for us.
Okay.
Concerning that.
I'm saying, what I'm asking for is how much traffic have they received from this area?
Yeah, I think they've covered that, but I haven't come back.
Yeah, if we can just get, if I can just get something in my hand, so that if they've already done that, they don't have to. Okay. But if I can just get something at least in writing or via email, with regard to what have they answered specifically to Caddo Parish, how many the volumes of calls, what seems to be the high areas, is it crime, is it social services, those kind of things. Just want to see how is it working out, because like I said, I know I refer a lot, and I'm not saying they're not answering their calls. I just want to see how we're doing and be able to gauge what's working and what else we need to do on that and how else we can help them. I also wanted to announce that in conjunction with our E. Edward Jones Housing Trust Fund, that the Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America on January 26th will have a home buyers workshop here in Shreveport and Caddo Parish. I spoke to Dr. Wilson about this earlier this week. This kind of ties into our Pathways to Prosperity initiatives, getting individuals to create wealth through home ownership. If you're not familiar with NACA, as it's called, they provide not only home counseling, home ownership counseling, but they provide mortgages with zero down payment, zero closing costs, and they allow individuals the ability to buy down their interest rate below the market rate. And so they provide an opportunity for, and it's not, they don't consider credit scores. They look at sort of the individual's income and their ability to repay their mortgages. And so they've done a workshop here in Shreveport before. They had some interest. But what we've seen is we've seen a lot of people going to New Orleans and having to go to Dallas and having to go to Little Rock just so they can get these services. And so what we're doing is we'll be bringing these services right here to Shreveport and Caddo Parish. That'll be at Galilee Missionary Baptist Church, and we'll get more information out about it. Hopefully Crystal can send some information out about it, Dr. Wilson. And it'll be that Saturday from 11 to 1 p.m., 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. At Galilee Missionary Baptist Church. And again, it's more than just coming to get some information. We hope individuals walk away one step closer to home ownership, or a couple steps closer to affordable home ownership at that. Want to use the balance of my time to first say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody. You know, we're in the season, we're in the holiday season, but I also want to address some information that's been put out about my absence from around this horseshoe. And I talked to Commission President Dominic yesterday about that. To my knowledge, there's no official procedure that we have for not being here, but I do want to let folks know, and I talk to Dr. Wilson all the time. I email Erica if I need something. I email Donna if I need something. I know how to get in touch with Todd, and I believe I respond back if y'all need me for something. And I want to be very clear. I didn't wake up on January 1st, 2018, knowing that I'd be putting my mother to rest and two other friends, one to cancer at the age of 35, and a friend who is a person who's very near and dear to me, Mr. Arthur Anderson. Arthur was like a father figure to me, and I had the privilege of being part of his eulogy. And so it's been a difficult 2018. And so what I want folks and my constituents to know, because I've not had a person in District 3 to tell me that they can't get in touch with me. There has not been a community meeting that I've missed. There's not been a community activity that I have missed. In fact, at 9 o'clock on Monday, I was getting an email, and a lady responded back after I replied to her. I was not expecting such a hastily response. And so I'm in touch with my constituents. I'm in touch. I set to 9:30 p.m. with Calvin Austin on Tuesday at the Booker T. Washington Foundation Center, talking about issues in that area and some issues that they have as Booker T. Washington alums. So my district know how to get in touch with me. You know where I'm at. And if they don't, they know how to get to me. If I need to get a message through Michelle, Michelle knows how to get to me. So this notion that I'm not here, I'm absent, is completely false. And I want to address that on the record. I want to address that to my constituents. On Thanksgiving Day, I was out handing out food and meals to our citizens. On Halloween night, I was out at Galilee Baptist Church participating in their function. Tonight, I'll be at a community meeting. So we tend to try to allow people to direct and drive the conversation with false impressions and just false information. I don't owe it to anybody other than my voters to tell them where I am and what I'm doing. But I hope that we would allow individuals the ability to grieve whatever way that they choose to grieve. People are absent and missing from around this horseshoe for various number of reasons. But it's not my business or my priority to come out and try to out them on where they are. Individuals have made it a priority, and I'm closing here, have tried to make a priority to attack me at my personal place of employment. That's unacceptable. Willis Knighton received the same federal grant, they bill Medicaid and Medicare just as my employer does. Krista Shumpert, they bill Medicare and Medicaid just as my employer does. Oshens, they bill Medicare, Medicaid, and the federal grant just as my employer does. But for some reason, my employer gets singled out, but I don't see anybody submitting public records requests to them. So what I would ask is that, things that deal with a matter of this body be kept here and leave my family, leave my personal life out of it. And so I enjoy coming down here, but do know that coming down here around this horseshoe, I don't come down here to talk about cats and dogs. My constituents sent me down here to address issues like making sure that we can get disaster relief. I'm gonna close. Making sure that they get disaster relief as needed. Not to bicker about a dog being left on a chain when it's cold. There are much more pressing issues. Now that may be important to you, but it is not as a big of importance, and I don't try to reduce that importance when it comes to them. I either vote my convictions and I move on. And so I would ask for us to extend that same courtesy and respect to every member, just as I've extended that same courtesy and respect when other individuals around this horseshoe and this administration are afflicted with their issues. And I would just ask for us to have the same level of compassion and concern. Thank you.
Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, the Bible tells us that the poor will always be with us. And all the time it's not talking about monetary values. It's talking about being poor in your spirit. Caddo Parish Commission gave false hope. And I believe that we have created some very poor spirits on today because we did not complete a task that we took on. As Commissioner Johnson has said and stated in his remarks that this was started over 3 years ago, and several communities have been affected throughout Caddo Parish that has gotten the full assistance that they needed. It has also been said that the funding that was allocated was not enough to get over the hump. A couple months ago, these chambers were full of people who were complaining. We went to the back and we met with them. In fact, I stayed out so long I missed the rest of the meeting because I wanted to hear where they were and what was going on. They were upset because all around them, their neighbors were being taken care of and they couldn't understand. They had these slips that they had been approved for these services. They met all of the requirements. And now today we're denying them. I just want you all to remember something. As you're sitting around your Christmas trees, sleeping in your bed, singing Christmas carols, drinking hot apple cider, I want you to remember that there's a senior citizen with a hole in her roof. I want you to remember that there's a family displaced, and that even now, as you sit in your seats, that you have an opportunity to rectify that wrong by reconsidering your vote. Think about that during your holiday season, that it was in your hands and you chose to make another decision. I'm ashamed today. For the very first time, I am very ashamed of Caddo Parish Commission. Thank you.
Lewis Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Once again, I thank you for informing the body why I was late today. I had a event in my district in Greenwood, and I want to make you aware that the American Road Center has a major project that's afoot, and they had visitors in the area from all over the country, and it was a pretty major event. And we presented a proclamation, so I thank each of the commissioners for that. Thank you for your support, and they will be coming before us upcoming. Also, with Mr. Robinson, there was a contingent of supporters that would be here for him, including the mayor of Greenwood and others, but they too were at that event, so I'll make sure he's aware of that. And lastly, I've had 2 meetings, one with the Western Hills Alliance and the other with the Timberline subdivision in my district. And during that time, the Sheriff's Department came out and supported me. Most recently, Mr. Whittington from the parish came out to support me. So I want to officially and publicly thank them for their support during those meetings as well. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Commissioner Cawthorn, I don't think you've spoken yet.
Oh, since it's our last meeting of the year, I just want to take this opportunity to wish every commissioner around this horseshoe a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I would be remiss if I didn't applaud publicly what every department head, every employee of the Caddo Parish Commission do. Yeah. Even in the midst of what seemingly the backdrop of things they have to deal with, we just want to wish everybody Merry Christmas. I want to wish everyone Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and continue to do a yeoman's job for the parish of Caddo. Thanks.
Commissioner Bowman.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to be brief about it. And I'll be done with the storm part. Commissioner Atkins, I talked to him, he was right, and I do apologize. We did get funding, and we did do better than any other local and federal agency. So with that, I am grateful of, and I thank y'all for the support. I still, I'm like Commissioner Johnson and Stormy, though, on the other end, because I still have to, when I leave here, I still got to go right past those houses and the lady across the street who I'll have my lights up, and she can't even do that because we didn't do what we said. But I want to move on. My other point is I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. And I didn't get a chance to finish. I saw Commissioner Jackson made a comment earlier, and he said something about absences. I wanted to first welcome him back, and also I understand how it feels. Things do happen in life, deaths, sicknesses occur, and sometimes you aren't able to be here. I know I have not on those occasions, and at the same time, if anybody wants to throw shade or come, I want them to know my stuff is justified just as well. You know what I'm saying? So, as far as absences, I was saying, in your absence, I do understand how things happen in life. And I never said anything or commented about you, no more than just prayed in your absence, hoping the best. You understand? Okay. Well, then you'll always be a winner in my eyes. Have a good night.
Okay, I don't have anything. Moving on to citizens' comments, late arrivals, I have none. And so do we have a motion to adjourn?
Adjourn.
I know.